Hi everybody, welcome, how are you? This is the Trailer Park Prophet, coming at you live from beautiful downtown Crestone, Colorado. This is Sunday on Monday on Blog Talk Radio. Muchas gracias for being here today. Lot going on in the world. Hope everything's okay with you. I just heard on the radio that we're midway through summer. Is that right? Does that sound about right? I don't know. It just seems like stuff is going by so fast. I really don't know what to think. But here we are again on Blog Talk Radio. Hey, look, I want to do a quick sound check. Make sure everything's copacetic. And let's see if I can. Hang on there a little bit, and we'll do a little sound check. Got to make sure everything is doing good here at the Trailer Park Prophet. As you know, I'm always having some kind of difficulties here, technical difficulties. And I'll tell you, the people at Blog Talk Radio are the best. I mean, they're so patient, and they work with you, and they understand that some of us don't necessarily have the computer gene, and that we need a little help from time to time to get us by. And I gotta admit, man, the people at Blog Talk Radio are very professional, and they're there for us, and they try to help. And I'm looking right now, I'm trying to see whether it is if we're recording or not, and it doesn't really look like anything is happening. So here I am, just dying on the vine. Now it could be that I gotta maybe if I take down some of my tabs, maybe everything will start working a little bit better for me. But I don't think I'm getting out. I really don't think I'm getting out. I mean, I should be able to be able to hear myself talking, but it doesn't look like that is the case. Doesn't look like I'm recording. Alright, let's see, I don't know what's going on. It's a terrible thing. You know, it might be that I gotta deal with my microphone. I don't know what's going on. I could just jump out of my head right now. But it doesn't look like we're getting through. And I just checked. I am recording on my own recorder. That seems to be working just fine. And I am recording for my I'm recording for YouTube, but I don't think I'm recording right now for Blog Talk Radio. And, you know, it's all my fault again. Shoot, I really thought I could figure this stuff out, but I can't. I'm a ding dong. But as far as I can see, everything's working, you know, as far as my microphones, all the microphones are working. I can't imagine what the deal is here. I just can't seem to get this to work out. Well, let me double check here. Let me see what's going on. Maybe I'll go back. Recording. Let's see here. Alright, here we go. Here's a list of microphones. Yeah, it doesn't look like any microphones are working right now. What's going on here? Come on. Come on, microphones. Let's have you working there, baby. Internal microphone's working, external microphone. Everything looks okay as far as I can tell. Alright, let me go back over to my studio at Blog Talk, see if maybe now things are getting out. Could be, could not be, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see, where am I? I gotta head on over to my studio. You know, this is citizen journalist Daniel Gray. You know, what else can I tell you? End episode. Host disconnected. Continue. Alright, let's see what we got here. Go back to Zynga. Zynga, Zynga, Zynga. Help me out here, Zynga.
Press 1 to hear important.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Alright, back again. Hi everybody. How you doing? Let's see. I don't know if I'm on yet or not. No, it says host disconnected. Oh, I could just cry. I could just cry, my fellow lovers of liberty.
So now, press 1 to hear important instructions.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
I don't know if you can hear that. Okay, looks like I'm back on the air now. Again, no, I'm disconnected again. Oh my God. I just want to shoot myself in a metaphorical way. And it looks like I have plenty of bars. I don't know what's going on. Allow.
So now, press 1 to hear important.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Alright. It says I'm on the air, but the host is disconnected. Okay, let's go back. I want to see maybe if I'm being recorded by Blog Talk or not. I don't know what's going on. I'm a ding dong. Alright, let's see here. Now I'm going to do a sound check here, see what the hell's going on. See if maybe I'm back with it. Alright, can you hear me? Everybody out there? Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Easy as ABC. Easy as 1, 2, 3. ABC, even you and me. Alright, doesn't look like anything's working right now. I'm not getting out. So I am screwed-o'd, I guess. Nothing's getting out. I can't hear myself. I'm trying to think what else I could do to make myself work, but it doesn't look like I'm actually recording on Skype, so that's unfortunate. Alright, let me see. Host disconnected. It says I'm disconnected. Maybe I'll try Skype. Dial. Facebook. Goatman walking. And what's it say? Do nothing. What do I want? Okay, Skype. Hang on, let me try something here. I'm going to try to get on with Skype. Maybe something will work out here. I'm trying to get everything all copacetic. I know I need to work. I need to fix this. I'm really a ding-dong. Are you? Yeah, okay, I do want to make a call. Alright, let's see if this Skype thing works. Oops. Uh-oh, this could be good.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Alright, cool. At least I got my Skype working now. For a long time, I couldn't get my Skype to work. Now it looks like my Skype's working. Hi, everybody. Alright, I think we're working. I can't believe it. Hi. Alright, everybody, we are back. Back on Skype. Alright, thanks a lot, everybody, for being so patient. I really appreciate it, man. I have been having the worst luck with this stuff, and I guess I'm just kind of afraid of all this stuff, technology, and I've been trying to do some other things with my little computer, and I got other things goofed up. So I've been kind of discouraged, and of course I am a citizen journalist. I got a lot of things going on in my life. I know you guys do too. So anyways, I appreciate you hanging in there with me, because now it looks like we're back on, and this is just absolutely positively awesome. I'm back on Skype. I'm live on Blog Talk Radio. And now, look, if you want to call into the program, that would be positively, absolutely wonderful. You can do so by dialing 646-716-8506. Again, if you'd like to talk to yours truly, Daniel Gray, Trailer Park Prophet, you can do so by dialing 646-716-8506. Yay! I'm so happy I could just cry. Alright, let's see. I want to scoot on over to my Facebook page. That's where I actually log a lot of my stories. And if you're ever interested about what kind of stuff I'm thinking about, what I'm reading, what I find interesting, you can go to my Facebook page, Daniel Gray, on Facebook. Daniel Gray, Trailer Park Prophet, should get you there. And you can see what I'm reading, and you can interact. I have a lot of people from Blog Talk that are on my Facebook page, and we talk about politics and all the kinds of stuff that's going on out there. And today, I guess today, of course, is called Sunday on Monday, and we talk about things that are happening over the weekend. And I was listening to Rush Limbaugh this morning, and he was saying that a lot of people have been talking about, in the media, we're talking about the Ebola scare. And they were saying that people were really overreacting in America about these two doctors, these two American doctors, these two doctors from the USA who were over in Africa trying to treat some of the people over there that had Ebola. And they were kind of laughing and making fun of the American people to suggest that our CDC, our what is that, the Center for Disease Control, wasn't competent enough to handle two people that had Ebola in the United States safely. Now, these are the two people, or I guess I should probably phrase it this way, only two people have ever been in the United States now that have Ebola. The second one just came in today. The other one came in yesterday or day before. And so the media, the lamestream media, has been making fun of people that they're overreacting to this Ebola scare. And I don't know. I mean, I don't think people are overreacting. I think they have a right to react, and I think trying to say that someone overreacts is kind of being judgmental. But it's kind of funny, that our southern border is so porous and people are pouring over the southern border and they have all kinds of communicable diseases. And that's very real. I read several stories today that people on the border agents and whatnot, are getting any number of diseases from these people just pouring over our southern border. And I don't think people are necessarily overreacting. I think they have every right to react. I mean, Ebola is a bad disease. It gets into your body by way of blood, or some body fluids, like out of your, spit and out of your nose, stuff, or from a person that has Ebola. So it can spread through your mucous membranes. And that is a way that I think probably is easily combated, but still, you're one sneeze away if you happen to be on let's say you're on a plane and you're in France and somebody got on the same plane from Africa, or maybe somebody has Ebola and they got on a plane and then they sneezed on somebody. They could sneeze on somebody in the plane, that could be in the airport in France, or you pick the country, and they don't even know they're infected. And they don't really start showing signs of Ebola until 3 days after, but yet they're still contagious. And even when they get contagious, they think they have the flu, so they could possibly sneeze on somebody or, you know, God forbid, bleed on somebody. I mean, that's an awful scary thought, I know, but holy mackerel, you know, I mean, it's kind of scary. And then something that I found, this was really amazing. The story came out today that they, meaning science, have found a cure for Ebola, but they haven't actually tested it out on humans. But on these 2 doctors that just came over from Africa, they were given this antibiotic or whatever, this some sort of a cure for Ebola, and immediately the people started seeing a reverse in the effects of this Ebola. And I imagine a lot of people around the world are going to be saying, well, God, if you knew this, and they said they did test it on monkeys, lab monkeys, well, why wouldn't you go and make this available, put it in vaccine form, it must be in a vaccine form, and make it available to people in Africa who are going to die unless they get some sort of treatment, even if it isn't tested on human beings. You know what I'm saying? I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be really upset to find out that the USA found a cure for Ebola and didn't share that information with the world. I mean, why go through clinical trials with humans when you have people that have a between 50 and 90% rate of dying when they contact Ebola? I imagine those people would be more than happy to be the guinea pigs for this new Ebola vaccine. It just seems so heartless, and what it makes me think is that there are a lot of progressive socialist statists out there that want to see the population of planet Earth reduced. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that like to see a lot of Africans die. And I think there's a lot of elitists out there, progressive socialist statists, that don't mind if a bunch of Africans die. I mean, there is that mindset out there. I'm not just making this up. This ain't something that the old trailer park prophet can just, like, come up with magically. I mean, there is a lot of people out there, particularly in America, particularly in Europe, who want to see the population of the world reduced to about 1 billion. And what, we got 6 billion people now on the world? I mean, they're really that heartless. I mean, the founder of Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, said that blacks were the weeds of society. And there's a lot of other people like that. A lot of other people like that, particularly in academia. And I have a feeling there's going to be repercussions. If there's not repercussions, they should be repercussions. In other words, we're just allowing these blacks to just die of Ebola when there's a known cure. It's just rather profound. Rather profound in my mind. All right, we got some more news from the CDC. I know you've heard of this before. I know I talk about it a lot, and that is how many gay people we have in the USA. Well, for some reason, now here's another question. How is it that the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, is keeping track on the number of gays out there? I mean, you would think that would be the people who do the census. I mean, they, I would think, would have some kind of idea how many gay people are out there, and it seems like it would be the census job to kind of know that kind of stuff. But the CDC says that there's only 3.8 million gay people in the USA. 3.8. That's 1.6% of our population, which our total population, of course, is roughly 325 million, 330 million, something like that. So, I mean, you want to talk about a minority group. Gays are probably the most talked about minority out there. Or as I like to say, gays only make up 1.6% of our our population, but they put out 80% of the bitching, moaning, and whining. And I'm not trying to put any dispersions on our gay brothers and sisters out there. I don't have any problem with gay people, none whatsoever. I don't care what consenting adults do with their mucous membranes. That is their own business as far as I'm concerned. But I don't want to hear about it. And if there's only 1.6 million gays out there, I mean, there's no chance for the average person out there to be prejudiced towards gay people. And where is all this prejudice to gay people coming from? We always hear about it, but we never have any solid examples out there of gays experiencing prejudice. Oh, I'm sure it exists, but I've always made the case that a lot of gays are prejudiced to other people. And again, I'm going to say this, that there's two types of gays. There's the gays that we know, the gays we work with, our brothers and sisters or neighbors. And then there's the militant gays. And the militant gays are more progressive socialist status than they are gays. They're just using their so-called gay identity as a wedge issue against regular, normal human beings. Alright, enough of gay people. Damn. Alright, we got some news today. Our first story today is from CNS News. And it looks like the Obama administration now, this is unbelievable. When Obama took office, the national debt was roughly between $9 and $10 trillion. Well, now it's officially over $7 trillion. Barack Obama has added $7 trillion to the national deficit. That's $1 trillion, more than $1 trillion a year since Obama's been in office. He's been in office roughly 6 years. And I got this story here from, let's see, it's the CNS News. And they say that the total federal debt of the U.S. government has now increased more than $7 trillion during the slightly more than 5.5 years Barack Obama has been president. And if you want to know why eggs and all the other stuff in your grocery basket are costing more, and why gas never went down to the Bush era numbers, it's because it's inflation. That's why, because there's so many dollars being created by the Federal Reserve. Uh-oh. Alright, what's going on here? Hopefully everything's okay. Can you guys still hear me? Let's see. Let me get back to my... I think everything's okay. I'm going to go ahead. And let's see. Looks like Blog Talk's okay. Okay, so moving on to the CNN article. It says that $7 trillion is more than the debt increased under all U.S. presidents from George Washington through Bill Clinton combined, and it's more debt than was accumulated in the first 227 years of this nation's existence from 1776 through 2003. And it's just, it breaks my heart, because a lot of that borrowed money mainly goes for bureaucrats' wages, travel, office expenses, retirement, health care. That's where the majority of that money goes to. Alright, looks like I'm having some trouble here. Hang on a second. I gotta shut some stuff down. Uh-oh, looks like Foxfire is not responding. Alright, everybody, just be cool for a minute. I want to make sure I know where we're at here. I do have quite a few things open. That might be my problem. I'm trying to earn a living, son of a gun, like that's not hard. I hope I didn't kill that microphone. I might have killed my microphone. And now I can't see Blog Talk. Where's my studio? Alright, what's this? Oh, Zynga wants me to take a poll. Yeah, right. Right in the middle of the show. I'm going to get right to that. Alright, let me see. Here's my studio right here. Hang on, let me check this out. And you look at this graph of our national debt. I mean, holy moly. It's just going up like crazy under Obama. And it's really kind of a scary sort of thing, you know, when you think about where we're headed as a country. All right, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and refresh. I'm so refreshed. Okay, Chrome is not responding. Come on. Oh, and that's the other thing too. I'm on Chrome. You know, I have been on what was it, Foxfire, and I don't know. I got off Foxfire. Now I'm on Chrome. And now let's see. Make sure everything's working. Okay, looks like I'm still getting out there. That's a good thing. Let's go back over to this story. Let's see here. Let's see, the total federal debt first passed 7 trillion mark on January 15, 2004, after President George W. Bush had been in office almost 3 years. Let's see, and this just confirms what I said. When President Obama took office on January 20th, 2009, the total federal debt was $10 trillion, just like I said. And let's see, I can't remember what else we have here. All right, we got a little video here. Obama reaches record U.S. debt. Let's see what this has to say. Again, this is from cnsnews.com. All right, take it away, CNN or CNS News.
Number 43 added $4 trillion by his
2008.
We now have over $9 trillion of debt that we are going to have to pay back. $30,000 for every man, woman, and child. That's irresponsible. It's unpatriotic. But I refuse to leave our children with a debt that they cannot repay. Understand, if we don't take meaningful steps to rein in our debt, it could damage our markets, increase the cost of borrowing, and jeopardize our recovery. Now, the final critical step in winning the future is to make sure we aren't buried under a mountain of debt. Saddled us with more debt and left innocent, hardworking Americans holding the bag. Because the average person thinks raising the debt ceiling must mean that we're running up our debt. It allows us to meet our obligations to future generations without leaving them a mountain of debt. A mountain of debt. A mountain of debt. That's irresponsible. That's unpatriotic.
The use of media materials is okay. That was a little thing. So I don't know. You get to the point when you deal with this guy Barack Hussein Obama where you're just exhausted. Nothing he says ever comes true. I mean, his word is worthless. And that's why I used to call Barack Obama the biggest liar of all times. I mean, he gets into office, our national debt's $10 trillion, and now it's $17 trillion. He's going to double the debt during his tenure in the White House. That's unconscionable. I mean, at this rate, $1 trillion a year, by the time he gets out, it's going to be $9-10 trillion that he's added to the debt in 8 years. America fiscally is on a ledge. It's committing suicide. We're literally committing suicide. And that doesn't include the $80 billion a month that the Federal Reserve is printing and just basically turning it over to Wall Street. That's $1 trillion a year. So under Obama, we're looking at the possibility of $15 trillion added to our national debt, maybe more. When you combine the money that Congress is borrowing and you combine that with the Federal Reserve and the money they're printing, we might have $20 trillion worth of debt by the time Obama gets out of office, and no one seems to care. No one's paying any attention. No one's sounding the alarm except for the Trailer Park Prophet and a few conservatives out there. The press, they don't talk about the national debt. They don't talk about the deficit. They're content to ignore the story, lying by omission. And it's just a profound recognition of where we are as a society. We don't have a independent journalism anymore. The media is in the tank for Obama. And yet, what are we to do? We can talk about it, but, you know, that's just about it. All right, if you want to call into the program, you can do so. Dial 646-716-8506. Again, dial 646-716-8506, and you too can talk to the Trailer Park Prophet. All right, moving on here. Next story. Let's see, where was that? Everything's kind of working. And here's another recording of Obama talking about how he's gonna. Remember, he said he's gonna halve the national debt, that $10 trillion, in his first year as president. Let's listen to President Obama here.
Speakers, we cannot and will not sustain deficits like these without end. Contrary to the prevailing wisdom in Washington these past few years, we cannot simply spend as we please and defer the consequences to the next budget, the next administration, or the next generation. We are paying the price for these deficits right now. In 2008 alone, we paid $250 billion in interest on our debt, 1 in every 10 taxpayer dollars.
Yikes.
That is more than 3 times what we spent on education that year, more than 7 times what we spent on VA healthcare. So if we confront this crisis without also confronting the deficits that help cause it, we risk sinking into another crisis down the road as our interest payments rise, our obligations come due, confidence in our economy erodes, and our children and our grandchildren are unable to pursue their dreams because they're saddled with our debts. And that's why today I'm pledging to cut the deficit we inherited by half by the end of my first term in office. Now, this will not be easy. It will require us to make difficult decisions and face challenges we've long neglected. But I refuse to leave our children with a debt that they cannot repay. And that means taking responsibility right now, in this administration, for getting our spending under control.
So that's nothing but a lie. That's President Obama lying to the American people once more about one of the most important issues facing this country right now, our fiscal and monetary policy. And I got to remind everybody, we have not had a formal budget in the United States during Barack Obama's term. And I know you guys that have been here a long time, you know that, but it's absolutely positively true. We've been running this country on what's called continuing resolutions. And they'll do a package of government services in one continuing resolution, and then another package, and then another package. But that's not budgeting. We haven't had a formal budget like the Constitution calls for, like our statutes call for the last 6 years. And in my mind, that's criminal. And if it wasn't for the Republicans not taking responsibility, see, I kind of blame the Republicans. I think the Republicans should have said, look, we're going to shut down the government until we get a budget. But they're worried about getting reelected. They're worried about damaging the Republican brand. So it's just a basic, sad state of affairs, which leads me to believe that we may need some more constitutional amendments. I mean, we ought to have something that if Congress doesn't pass a budget, then we just dismiss all of Congress. We'll elect a brand new Congress that'll go there and put in a budget. Something like that. I mean, there has to be some drastic measures, don't you think, to make these political actors do their damn jobs? All right, I got a story here from Right Wing News. Article here written by or posted by Tiffany Ruger. We've actually used her stuff before. Wait, now this is back from April. But what I have here is a pretty interesting video of this Imam, and he lives in Memphis. and he's talking about the future of Islam in the United States. And I tell you, it does flabbergast me to think that most people out there are supporting Islam. They kind of see Islam as this put upon, misunderstood religion out there, but yet you listen to these words of this imam, and he doesn't seem very downtrodden to me. He doesn't seem like some weak little minority that's getting trampled on by our liberty and our constitutional republic. But here, let's give a listen here, see what this guy has to say. And lecture by Sheikh Yasar Gaddafi. Okay, here we go.
This is the precise definition of shirk. To make a partner along with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we realize then that obviously shirk, which is the opposite of tawheed, must by necessity and by definition be the most evil of all evils, as Jews and Christians are mushrikun in our perspective of tawheed. As we have studied, we can understand how, and only the Muslims are upon tawheed. And it is also the same reason or the same principle of tawheed, which is the first obligation upon every single human being. That he bears witness and he testifies that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is because of the same principle of tawheed that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has been commanded to do jihad. Jihad is a means and not a goal in and of itself. It is a means to establish tawheed on the land.
Uh-oh. Come on, Iman. Huh.
I have been commanded to fight the people until they testify La ilaha illallah. So the whole reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us and sent the prophets and revealed the books and differentiated us based upon this principle and allowed for jihad is the basis and is the principle of tawheed. The life and property of a mushrik holds no value in the state of jihad. Notice I said in the state of jihad, not at all times and places. The life and property of a mushrik becomes halal while in a state of jihad.
A mushrik is a non-Muslim, in case you didn't pick that up.
The Prophet ﷺ said, and we quoted the hadith before, I have been commanded to fight the people until they say La ilaha illallah. And when they say La ilaha illallah, he went on, when they say La ilaha illallah, their life and property become protected from me. Which means if they don't say La ilaha illallah, their life and property are halal for the Muslims. So the Christians do commit shirk. They are kuffar and they are mushrikun. The mushrikun are najas, they are filthy. Najasa. They are filthy, a spiritual filthiness which can only be purified by the purity of tawheed. Allah calls the mushrikun najas, which is a very evil thing. When Allah himself says the mushrikun are najas, Allah is calling them najas. They are a najasa, a filthy, impure, dirty substance.
You know, and it just kind of gives you some insight to the level and degree of the hate that's out there by some of these people in radical Islam. And I would have to say most of them. I mean, they're absolutely rabid against Christians and Jews. And if you don't convert to Islam, you are trash, you're rubbish, you're filthy. And he did mention infidel, but you know, there are some new words that we got introduced to. I mean, they have a whole vernacular dedicated to the hate of Christians and Jews. I mean, that's how serious Islam is about hating Jews and Christians and non-believers. I mean, you're either a believer, or you have to convert, or you die. And this is the way a lot of these imams and other types of religious leaders in Islam actually feel. I mean, that's a level of hatred that can't be denied. It's rather shocking. And you show this to people who don't understand that we need to be in fear of Islam, and they have cognitive dissonance. They can't even compute. I mean, you tell them that that Islam thinks that women are second-class citizens. They can't even get that in their organic computer, their mind. They can't even imagine for themselves what that means. They're totally devoid of understanding exactly how violent and morbid that Muslims are towards Christians and non-believers. I mean, they're calling them filthy animals. You can't get a much more descriptive word of hate than filthy. Filthy animals. Which makes it easier for the believers of Islam to go out and commit a terrorist act. I mean, they think they're killing filthy animals. And they're told if they're a suicide bomber, they're going to go to heaven and have all these virgins and the virgins' attendants, and they'll spend the rest of eternity getting doinked just for blowing themselves up in a mall. Oh, it's depressing. But, you know, let me give you the other side. My hope is that maybe people are going to start to realize that Islam is a scourge on society, like they did realize that some 1,200 years ago. And my hope is that, I mean, even George Washington, our first president, understood that Islam is a disease, and if we started fighting Islam back during George Washington times, that we're going to be fighting them for another 200 years. That's what George Washington said. I mean, they even knew back then that Islam in a man was like rabies in a dog. And yet today, if you went out and did a poll, you'd probably find that only 20% of the people out there understand that we, as Westerners who believe in rule of law, have a lot to fear from Islam. And that is nothing more than the accomplishment of a lot of propaganda, a lot of psychological warfare. I mean, look at the resurgence of the hate of Jews in Europe, in Chicago, all over the United States. I mean, right here in Crestone, Colorado, I bet you 65% of people in Crestone, Colorado are hating on the Jews. And they're following what's going on now between Gaza and Israel, and they probably are on the side of Gaza and the Palestinians. I mean, they have no idea the history of Israel, the history of that region, the Arabs, the Muslims, none of that. I mean, they're totally ignorant. All right, I got something here. What's this say here? I have a little posting. It says, keep up with the news by install. No, I don't want to do that. They want me to install an extension so I never miss a story with this clean and simple app. The Prophet doesn't want any apps. Okay, this story is from RT. I believe this is that news agency from Russia. And they're saying here that the UK, that's the England, the UK battle group will take part in a major military training exercise with other NATO forces to reassure allies in Eastern Europe during a period of heightened regional tensions, the Foreign Office has announced. The biggest commitment to the region since 2008, and the UK's full battle group will comprise of 1,350 personnel and more than 350 armored and other vehicles. Speaking during a visit to Warsaw with the UK Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond, Defense Secretary Michael Fallon said Exercise Black Eagle was one of the series of planned NATO maneuvers due to take place throughout the autumn in support of allies in Eastern Europe and the Baltic states. It says, we have a strong opportunity at the NATO summit to discuss how we will continue our response to Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea and its destabilization of eastern Ukraine. Fallon said the U.S. is playing a central role, and we are not ruling out further enhancements. The UK has already deployed RAF Typhoon jets to the NATO Baltic Air Policy mission, as well as participating in smaller scale army exercises across Europe. Light infantry troops from 1st Battalion, the Duke of Lancaster Regiment, will also take part in the exercise. Sabre Junction at the end of August, a U.S.-led exercise involving 16 NATO and partner nations, which is also taking place in Poland. So, I mean, this is a escalation of NATO, and NATO, in case you don't know, was created after World War II to kind of keep Russia in check. And this is kind of a big story. I mean, this is kind of saying that Europe is getting concerned about the U.S., concerned about Russia. And here's a quote. It says, "No matter what our Western counterparts tell us, we can see what's going on." President Vladimir Putin told an emergency Security Council meeting in Moscow on July 22nd, as it stands, NATO is blatantly building up its forces in Eastern Europe, including the Black Sea and the Baltic Sea areas. So, obviously, the NATO allies are very concerned about what's going on in the Ukraine, and they're going forward with these exercises to send a message to Putin that he had better knock it off, pull out of the Ukraine. So it's serious stuff. Alright, let's see here. We're right at 1:46. You're listening to Daniel Gray. I'm the Trailer Park Prophet, broadcasting live from beautiful downtown Crestone, Colorado on Blog Talk Radio. This is Sunday on Monday, a recap of what happened over the weekend. We try to focus on what the lamestream media is saying. Now, here is, this is, oh my God, you know, back to the southern border and the invasion that we're enduring. Question from the question of the day, and this is from Fox 25 Feedback. Says a small percentage of illegal immigrants flown into Massachusetts has reportedly been granted asylum in the state. Should asylum be granted to people who have come into the country illegally? Hell no. And should it be granted by a state? A state has no right to grant asylum. I mean, that's a purview of the federal government, I would think. But yeah, you know, I mean, Massachusetts, real liberal state. I mean, I think they're going to try to say that. Look, you know, we're sovereign, and we're going to go ahead and allow these illegals in the country, into our state, whether you like it or not. And I thought this was kind of interesting. I got this from the Devolution. And it says here, what does voting for a liberal say about who you are as a citizen? And this was written by a guy named Steve Stiers and Mark Jensen. They go on to say, what does voting for a liberal say about who you are as a citizen? It says you support voter fraud. And we've chronicled all the voter fraud going on in this country, and most of it is perpetrated by Democrats. If you are liberal, you support illegals being treated better than citizens. I mean, it's the liberals are saying all these illegals pouring into the country have inalienable rights, even though they're criminals. They illegally entered this country, and they do have better rights. I mean, they can get driver's licenses in a lot of states. They don't have insurance. They can't be deported. There's a myriad of welfare available to them. They can get Section 8 housing, food stamps, daycare. It's unbelievable. I mean, in a way, illegals have more rights than Americans. If you're a liberal, you support violations of constitutional rights. If you're a liberal, you support murderers and rapists but not their victims. You know, and I think the best example of that, you probably have seen this in the news where this state or that state, I can't remember, I think there was one incident in Tennessee and another one in Texas where they were going to execute some guy who committed some heinous act against society, and whatever they were using to kill him didn't work, and the guy had the murderer had to suffer until he died. And I mean, the media's running around like, oh, it's the most horrible thing on planet Earth. You're trying to kill a savage beast, and he doesn't die right off the bat, and you act like it's a humanitarian crisis. Unbelievable. And yet, most liberals don't care a hoot about abortion. And that, I think I said this before, that abortion is the #1 cause of death in the USA. I mean, that's really, I mean, that's violating basic morals in my mind. And then, last but not least, if you're a liberal, you support our enemies, but not our veterans. And I think that's exactly what Barack Obama has been doing. He's supporting our enemies. And our enemy, in my mind's eye, our #1 enemy on planet Earth is radical Islam. And it might be a close second to Russia and China, but I don't know. I mean, every time I hear President Obama talk about all the contributions that Islam has made to the United States, I just about want to puke while I'm rolling my eyes. But that's what he said, and of course, this is Muslim Awareness Week, or no, Muslim Awareness Month. I've done this story before, but I just positively love it. And this comes, let's see, where did I get this? Fox 26. And they say that a new birth control chip that's implanted into women will work for up to 16 years. You can turn it on and off. It's not on the market yet because they can't figure out how to keep the chip from being hacked, but it's FDA approved. And they ask the question, will you get the chip? And I've read other stories where the chip, the birth control chip, can be turned off and on by a remote control. And obviously they're saying here in this story that that's the only problem. If someone hacked into your chip, you're trying to not get pregnant and somebody switches it off, and then the next thing you know, you get pregnant. And this is one thing I see happening in the future, and that is that once we start getting more into nanotechnology and designer drugs for the individual, I hope that in the future that we'll need less and less healthcare, and it'll become more robotic, if you will, like this birth control chip. You know, I'm hoping that in the future that every so often you'll go to the doctor and he'll inject these nano munchers that go into your bloodstream and eat all the cancer cells. I mean, that's the future. So maybe this whole debacle of Obamacare will eventually fold in on itself, and we'll see a time when healthcare is basically cheap and affordable. All right, I got something here from Fox News. This guy, congressman from Pennsylvania, Tom Marino, he got all fired up on Friday talking about Nancy Pelosi. He says she crossed the aisle to call Congressman Tom Marino a liar after he noted that Democrats did nothing to address the border issue when they had a chance. He says that she came up to me wagging her finger saying I was a liar. I said, no, I do my research. I have my facts straight. Perhaps you should try that. So we got a video here of Tom Marino, Republican from Pennsylvania, on the floor of the House of Representatives. I believe this was on Friday. All right. Welcome to the Trailer Park Prophet Show.
I was talking about how the Democrats are making immigration a political issue when, in fact, they had, in 2009 and 2010, complete control of the House, the Senate, and the White House, and they did virtually nothing to address the border issue. They did some token issues on immigration. It was a precursor to amnesty, but other than that, nothing was done.
Well, what you said was absolutely a fact, and apparently the former speaker took exception because what did she do?
Well, she came running over, crossing the floor, which was a breach of protocol. If she wanted to say something, she could have asked me if I would yield, and she could speak, or she could have had my words taken down, but there was nothing to take down. And she came up to me, wagging her finger and saying that I was a liar, and I simply said, no, I did my research. I have my facts straight. Perhaps you should try that.
And you know, I haven't thought about this for a while, but remember when Obama got elected in 2008, he governed for 2 years, and they had control, they meaning the Democrats, of the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House, and of course they had the White House. And remember, Obama promised that in his first year in office he was going to do something about immigration reform, but he didn't do that like he promised. And the main reason he didn't do that is because he wanted to be able to use the immigration debate in future election cycles. Because the Democrats had identified the whole immigration reform as a key issue for the Democrats in all of the upcoming election cycles. So that's why they didn't want to do anything about it when the Democrats had majority control of the House, Senate, and presidency, because they want to keep that issue alive, because they feel like it's a good issue to beat the Republicans on the head. Although now, of course, let's see, we got one poll here that 65% of the people don't approve of the way President Obama is handling the border invasion. And here, this guy here, here's a picture of this young man. Looks like I don't know where he's at. I don't know if he's a Tea Partier. He's a white guy wearing a white T-shirt. He looks reasonably sane. And he's holding up a sign, handwritten sign, and it says, "Bad politicians are elected by good people who do not vote." Do not vote. And again, 50% of the people that are eligible to vote don't vote. And that's roughly 100 million people. Roughly 100 million people vote in a presidential election, and 200 million are eligible. So roughly 50% of the people out there that are of age to vote, citizens, don't vote. They stand on the sidelines. All right, if you want to call into the program, you can do so. Dial 646-716-8506. Again, if you want to talk to the one and only Trailer Park Prophet, dial 646-716-8506. And again, my name's Daniel Gray. I am the Trailer Park Prophet, broadcasting live from beautiful downtown Crestone, Colorado, on Blog Talk Radio. All right, one of my liberal friends posted this, and it says, headed to zero, Congress approval rating drops to a dismal 5% in poll. And I heard someone talk about this recently, and it's interesting, you know, people think their own congressman is doing a great job. And I've seen polls that say that 65%, 70%, 80% of people think their own congressman's doing a good job. But when you ask how Congress is doing as a whole, a lot of people aren't happy. And that's just the nature of the beast. People are not going to be happy with Congress. If something's going wrong in the country, they're going to blame Congress. And that's just the nature of the beast. People focus on Congress before they focus on the U.S. Senate. And that's the beauty of our system. Everybody gets reelected every 2 years in Congress. And that is to give the power to the people. So if they see something going way wrong in Congress, they can decide to kick the bums out. But it's not so shocking that those poll numbers are so bad about how Congress is dealing with things. And then, oh, here's this poll I was talking about. And this is a Fox News poll. Question: Obama's handling of Central American children illegally crossing the border. 31% approve, 56% disapprove, 13% are unsure. I don't know how you get that dumb, but people get that dumb. But the approval now, that makes sense. Now 22%, 24% of people self-identify as liberals, whereas 46% identify as conservatives. So 50%, so out of that 56% that disapprove of Obama's handling of the Central American children illegally crossing in the border, I'm guessing that 10% of those are independent. And the unsure, I don't know. I don't know how you're unsure. All right, here's a little Freudian slip of Obama. I think I've heard this before. He's talking about his Muslim faith. And it kind of begs the question that, you know, is this just another Obama gaffe or a Freudian slip? All right, President Obama, welcome back to the Trailer Park Prophet Show.
What I was suggesting, you're absolutely right that John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith, and you're absolutely right that that is not
Christian faith.
My Christian faith. And well, what I'm saying is that he hasn't suggested that I'm a Muslim.
I don't know. We report, you decide. You know, it just rolled off his tongue. He's talking to George Stephanopoulos, and this was during the 2008 campaign. But he did say my Muslim faith, and you would think he would have instantly caught that. I mean, can you imagine yourself saying that? I don't know if you believe in God or not, but can you imagine your Christian friends, your dad and mom, people close to you, talking about their faith and inadvertently slip in Muslim faith? Listen to it again.
What I was suggesting, you're absolutely right that John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith, and you're absolutely right that that is not
Christian faith.
My Christian faith. And well, what I'm saying is that he hasn't suggested that I'm a Muslim.
Oh, I don't know, man. I think it's a Freudian slip myself. You got to sit and watch his effect. He doesn't seem rattled, but oh my God, he must be disconnected. I don't know. It's just interesting. What a gap, huh? Okay, I got a little. This is so cool. This is kind of what you get for being so patient with the Trailer Park Prophet and all of his dealings with the technology. This is, let's see, they had a ukulele festival in San Diego this Sunday, yesterday. And I have a video here of a young girl playing an electric ukulele. And she looks to be maybe 12, 13 years old. And I want you to give a listen because it really makes you feel good. And I wish you could see this. If you want to see the video, you can actually go to my Facebook page. But let's take a time out and listen to this lovely lady play her electric ukulele at the Ukulele Festival. All right. Absolutely beautiful. And again, this young lady was performing yesterday at the Cal State San Marcos on Sunday for the San Diego Ukulele Festival. Who would have thought? All right, let's see here. Let me make sure we don't have any calls. Doesn't look like we do. No calls. Again, if you'd like to call into the program, you can do so by dialing 646-716-8506. Muchas gracias for being here. Sorry for all the trouble I've had. I'm an idiot. What can I say? This story, this story, let's see, where's this from? This story is saying that the Obama administration, right after they got elected, after they first got inaugurated into office, the Obama administration actually started a program secretly to send young Latin Americans to Cuba to gin up a rebellion. And this is from CBS News. And it seems to be like a fairly credible story. They were able to get these individuals into Cuba by way of Venezuela and some other South American countries. And they were sent there to create havoc in Cuba. And they're going into Cuba under the guise of HIV prevention, and it seemed like that was a perfect excuse for the program's political goals, and they had a gamut of other things that they were using to get in and be able to interview people. You know, they're saying that they were trying to immunize people, and they were doing this invasion, I guess, this sort of cloak and dagger type activity in Cuba under the guise of providing health care. And a little quote here says, although there is never totally certainty, trust that the authorities will not try to harm you physically. Oh, this is what they're telling them. They're telling them that although there is never any total certainty, that trust that the authorities will not try to harm you physically, only frighten you. Read a memo obtained by the AP. Remember that the Cuban government prefers to avoid negative media reports abroad, so a beaten foreigner is not convenient for them. But, you know, these guys were very sophisticated. They were able to hide information on their laptop computers. All of their emails were encrypted. And basically they were there to find people that were anti-Cuban, anti-Castro, and try to identify people that would want to create some sort of uprising in Cuba. And it just doesn't make any sense, you know, because liberals are so fond of Fidel Castro and other liberals like him, tyrants. You know, like they really liked Caesar. They really liked Cesar Chavez down in Venezuela before he died. So I mean, I can't make heads or tails about what this story actually means. But when you consider the source, CBS News, you know, you gotta think, well, you know, they're not going to say anything to damage Obama that's not true. And you're wondering, you know, what in the world's going on in the Obama administration. It just seems kind of weird that they would have some sort of a program like this to undermine the Cuban leaders. What the hell is going on there, Buffy? I don't really know. And this is, I just found this today, and you got to go to my Facebook page and check this out. The headline is, Obama caught blowing kiss to Jay Carney. And Jay Carney recently stepped down as Barack Obama's spokesperson. And this is a picture of Barack Obama down in the press room, and he's hugging Jay Carney as his arms wrapped around him, and he really does blow him a kiss. I mean, it's so weird. You got to see this. I'm going to look at it right now. There's a little bit of verbiage here. And the headline is, Obama caught blowing Jay Carney a kiss. It's so weird. I mean, is that metrosexual? Is that what a Skippy does? It just seems kind of odd to me. All right, we got a little ad here.
I'm Bowman, and this is my all-new Former 2. You've never seen anything like this before, so stick around and let me show you how it works.
All right, here we go. Jay Carney getting a kiss blowed to him by President Barack Hussein Obama. All right, Mr. President.
This is Dabu7 wanting to share with you Barack Obama blowing Jay Carney a kiss. Right there. See that? Many people didn't catch it, but sure enough, it took place. Obama blowing Jay Carney a goodbye kiss. I'm not sure that there is an excuse good enough to justify what you're witnessing. Maybe it shows the true brotherly love. But regardless, it happened. I wanted to share it with you guys. I'll leave a link.
And
Obama blowing.
And the thing is, man, when you look at this video, you can see that these two guys are, the way they're grabbing each other, and they're so close, their heads are close together, and the way their hands are on each other, I mean, they really look like they're lovers. The affect of these two in this embrace is very loving, well beyond the confines of a normal working relationship. I mean, they are like body to body. Their heads are right next to each other. Makes you wonder, is Barack Obama really gay? Is he bi? Alright, you gotta listen to this. Now, this is all over the internet. I bet you this goes viral. But this guy is driving down to our U.S. border. He was driving through the U.S. border, and he had ICAM glasses on. I've heard about these, and he got this video, and he asked a question of this border guard, and he got an answer. And I think you're going to be kind of surprised what the answer was from this U.S. border guard. All right, take it away.
At U.S. Border Patrol.
He's at the U.S. Border Patrol. And he has these eyeglasses that have a camera on them. So he's pulling up to the place where he has to stop. And then he has to engage with this border agent.
Does it really matter?
Not anymore, unfortunately. Thank you.
You think?
Not anymore, unfortunately? What the hell does that mean? Does that mean that we're letting anybody in the United States now? It doesn't matter anymore? How can it not matter? I mean, what that tells me is that our border is more porous than we could even imagine. It's even worse than we could imagine. That's what that tells me. And I wonder if this guy isn't in trouble with his bosses. Okay, what are you gonna do? World's going to hell in a handbag, looks like. Alright, I got this story from Red Flag News. Let's see. This is horrible. This is absolutely horrible. Actually, this is from Gateway Pundit. And the headline here is that Obama to force out 550 Army majors. 550 Army majors? After forcing out 1,100 Army captains in July. And this story is posted by Jim Hoff on Sunday, August 3rd, 2014 at 8:10 p.m. And we do have a little video here. Obama tells troops they make a pretty good photo backdrop. What a jerk. I mean, here's President Obama, and he has a bunch of soldiers behind him. And let's listen to him. See what Barack Hussein Obama has to say. All right, Mr. President.
To all the airmen and soldiers behind me, you guys make a pretty good photo op. We are grateful for your service.
Damn. And it says in the body of the story, says the Obama administration will force out 550 Army majors in the coming weeks. And this is coming from Stars and Stripes. About 550 Army majors, including some serving in Afghanistan, will soon be told they have to leave the service by next spring as part of a budget-driven downsizing of the service. General John Campbell, the Vice Chief of Army, acknowledged Friday that telling troops in a war zone that they're out of a job is a difficult task, but he said some of the soldiers could join the National Guard or the Army Reserve. The decision to cut Army majors comes on the heels of a move to slash nearly 1,200 captains from the ranks. Army leaders were criticized at the time for giving 48 of them the bad news while they were deployed in Afghanistan. We reported on that. And here's the quote. It says, "The ones that are deployed are certainly the hardest," Campbell told reporters. "What we try to do there is working through the chain of command, minimize the impact to that unit, and then maximize the time to provide to that officer to come back and do the proper transition to take care of himself, herself, and the family." But what's going on now is people are saying that Obama is intentionally dismantling our military. And there's any number of stories out there that that's the exact case of what's going on with President Obama, that he's trying to weaken our military. Oh, this is kind of interesting. The Kennedys, I don't know how many Kennedys are left, but they're trying to push Elizabeth Warren to challenge Hillary Clinton for the Democratic nomination for president. Here, this news, Dinesh D'Souza on box office hit America. Watched Newsmax TV now. Okay, I guess it's going to be it. At any rate, the #1 movie in the country is Dinesh D'Souza's America, which is very telling and has a lot to say about the Obama administration and what they're doing to ruin America. I got to see that movie. But at any rate, it's breaking all kinds of records. Now, I've seen this before. Francis Xavier said that give me the children until they are 7, and anyone may have them afterwards. And this is the kind of thing that's out there. I mean, you can read this in various forms about how all you got to do is get a hold of the children, and you can pretty much mold them into whatever you want. And I've seen any number of videos about how Islam, they get the children and they're able to turn them into psychopaths by the time they're 7. And Marx talked about that, J.S. Mill talked about that. It's a pretty common subject in progressive socialist statist circles about how the only way to get control of a society is get control of the children, basically is what they're saying. Oh! And then here's this story from DailySignal.com. They're saying that immigration officials are flying these illegal immigrants that are flooding over our southern border. They're now flying them to Hawaii. Although Hawaii is 2,500 miles from the continental United States, Hawaii has joined the list of states temporarily housing unaccompanied minors from Central America. And you know they're going to get lost. They're going to get lost. And I'm wondering, you know, I've seen so many reports out there that there's these FEMA camps and they're concentration camps, you know, with barbed wire and all the barracks. And God knows why FEMA's building these camps all over the United States. Why couldn't all these kids, well, they're not kids, only 20% of them are kids that are pouring over our border. Why couldn't they be stuck in these FEMA camps? Why are these FEMA camps not being utilized? And of course, the fear is, the paranoia is, the speculation is that those FEMA camps are going to be used for Americans who are deemed terrorists in the eyes of the Obama administration, which means anybody who belongs to the Tea Party, anybody that questions the government, questions the president and his administration policies, that these FEMA camps are being held open for those people. Because, I mean, what better use of these FEMA camps than to put all these illegal aliens, these criminals, storming over our southern border? All right, I got a little something here from Alan West. He begs a question. He says, has our culture developed to the point that the private statements of a MBA owner draws more outrage than the lies and deceit of the President of the United States? And remember that big deal over that guy, that old duffer that owned the Seattle, what was it? No, not Seattle, the LA Clippers. Yeah, this old doofus. He owned the LA Clippers, and he had this trophy wife. He had this little chick living with him, and she recorded him, and he said something negative about a black person. I think it was Magic Johnson, and it was construed as racist, and now the guy's lost control of his estate, and the woman is looking to sell the Clippers, and you remember all the outrage and the media attention about that. And who gives a... It's a freaking NBA, but yet it garnered the worthiness of the headlines and all the lamestream media for months, practically 3 months. And yet the president lying about balancing the budget or cutting the national deficit? No problem. President lies about health care? No problem. And, you know, just another example of how our society is upside down and that we've turned into a country of zombies. Oh, this is a scary story. We might even have a video on this. 13 illegal aliens, 13 criminal aliens illegally in our country were caught recently wearing U.S. Marine uniforms. How scary is that? Okay, we got an article here posted by Joshua Rhett Miller. And, oh wait, this was actually quite a while ago. This was back in March of 2011. And we might have a video here, yeah, from Fox News. Just give this a lesson, or a listen. But how crazy, you know, really, I mean, what the hell?
Might can be light, conviction, creativity.
I mean, talk about premeditated.
Well, get this. Illegal immigrants crossing the border dressed as U.S. Marines. You heard that right. That is what police found near the Southern California border. William Lajeunesse live in Los Angeles with this incredible story. Good morning, William.
Well, Martha, the 13 illegal immigrants and 2 Americans smuggling them wore official U.S. Marine uniforms, and they were driving what appeared to be a U.S. government van with actual U.S. government plates. Now, they were stopped at a border checkpoint on Interstate 8, about 30 miles east of San Diego, in an area called Campo. The agent noticed something odd. On the license plate, a 0 had been altered to look like an 8. He pulled the van over. All 15 men wore U.S. Marine camouflage dress fatigues and caps, but none had military IDs, and all on their Velcro had name tag Perez. The plates had been stolen from a U.S. Marine Corps base in Yuma a few weeks ago. The van, though registered to a California resident, entered the U.S. a few miles away in Calexico. DHS had reported now that 10 of those Mexican nationals have been deported, 3 are being held as witnesses, and they arrested the 2 U.S. citizens for alien smuggling. The agency would not confirm reports that it confiscated additional military uniforms, the staff sergeant shoulder stripes, and more Velcro. These guys obtained these uniforms. Was it an inside job from maybe the Marine base in Yuma, or potentially on the internet? You can buy these uniforms. In this case, they had the desert fatigues, and some had the woodland fatigues. Nevertheless, it just says how far these guys will go, not just stealing an ID or a Social Security card, but actual posing as Marines. Back to you.
That is a disturbing story. William Rajaness, thank you very much.
I don't think we've ever seen that before in this part of the world.
Well, you know, these...
to get in the country, isn't it?
Sure is.
And put on this Marine uniform.
If you can get, things that look that up.
These coyotes, the smugglers, are getting more and more creative. And it'd be interesting to get a follow-up on these individuals that all had the same name tag. Find out, what's going on. I mean, how much did they have to pay? Who is their coyote? Or obviously the coyotes, the human smugglers, are going to become more creative, and because they're human. Here we got a video here from Ann Coulter. I haven't heard about her for a while, and she has a piece here about the border crisis, and I believe she's interesting. We'll listen to Ann Coulter. All right, Ann, welcome. This is from July 31st, so that would have been Thursday, and she was on Fox News. We're doing a lot of stories from Fox News. It's just the way it works out. If I find the story interesting, that's what we do.
You're too busy to be waiting around at the bank. But with USAA, you can start banking online instead of standing in line. Learn how to get the power of a full-service bank in the palm of your hand at youtube.com/USAA.
All right, Ann, take it away. Welcome again to the Trailer Park Profit Show.
Welcome back to Hannity tonight. The president has now hit rock bottom when it comes to the issue of immigration. According to a brand new poll, shocking 68% disapprove of the president's handling of immigration, and only 31% approve. Now, to put that in context,
that's bad.
The Washington Post, disapproval of Obama on any given issue throughout his presidency rarely reaches over 60%. Ouch. With reaction, it's her #1 issue of all time. Author, columnist, friend, Ann Coulter. Your issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is immigration.
Well, it's the same thing with the American people. There was another poll showing that by far that's the most important issue. Something like 84% said they were more interested in what's happening with Mexico than, and this is going back some time, than Iran and Syria, than the Ukraine. I mean, this is our border here. And you keep saying, and I agree, I wish we could have Netanyahu as our president. But, how would America react if these missiles were being shot into our country? Well, I'll tell you how America would react to what's happening in Israel right now. More than 100 tunnels have been found on our border to smuggle in weapons, to guns.
100?
They're invading, they're murdering, they're raping. The head of the DEA said about a year ago that he thinks the surge of homicide in Chicago is a Mexican drug cartel. We are being invaded, and I just wish people would talk about our border the way, at least people like you and I talk about, the way we talk about Israel's border. We need a Netanyahu here. Can you imagine all these, yes, sometimes Palestinian kids get killed. That's because they're associated with a terrorist organization that's harming Israel. And Netanyahu,
Doesn't care what the religious leaders say, weeping about Palestinian children. He doesn't care what the UN says. He doesn't care what the media says. We are a country, we have borders, and Netanyahu enforces them. Why can't we do that in America?
So does Mexico. Mexico puts you in jail or sends you back.
Right.
All right, here's my question. So Republicans have this big cluster today where you got the Boehner bill, you got the Blackburn bill, and then they schedule a vote, and they don't have enough votes, and they have to go in a conference.
Right.
Why can't they just get rid of the provision that was for sex trafficking where you treat kids...
Okay. Well, obviously didn't read my column this week.
Number one.
I read the bill. We don't need to. Obama's breaking the law.
Control the border. And Obama's breaking the law. I agree with you.
No, well, the only way... Look, Obama is breaking the law the same way here as he is with Obamacare. It's astonishing. Unfortunately, most Americans, I don't think, understand. Maybe many viewers of your program. But this business of him, just for example... just suspending the operation of Obamacare. It would be as if, or the Dreamers Act. I mean, that was a law. People remember from when you were little kids how a bill becomes law. It goes to one house and the other house, and then the president signs it. Okay, that didn't happen, but Obama is enforcing a law that failed to pass with the Dreamers Act. He is not enforcing a law that he pushed through with Obamacare.
This is unprecedented. What do you say to those that say, the Democrats are saying, oh, Republicans want to impeach him?
No, I think the impeachment, drop that language. That's fundraising for both sides. That it's not going to work. It's pointless. It's pure fundraising for both sides. I do think Boehner's lawsuit is worth a shot. This is absolutely unprecedented, what the president is doing.
Boehner should use the power of the purse. It's his constitutional power.
To some extent, you can do that, and that's the Cruz bill, which I was getting to next. Those are the only three things they can do. It's the power of the purse from the House, it's sue, or it's impeachment. Technically, it should be impeachment, but drop that. The lawsuit is definitely worth pursuing. I think it's a fantastic lawsuit. I'm all for it. The problem is standing. We'll see what happens. But this is an unprecedented situation. It would be as if President Bush, remember how he was pushing Social Security privatization in his second term? That went nowhere. What if he just directed the IRS? Start not taking Social Security back. That is what Obama has done over and over again. This is completely unprecedented. I like Cruz's idea. I'm not entirely clear on how it really affects the fact that we are having this massive invasion at the border. Normally you defund things so that a president can't do something. Well, that's the problem. He is not taking care that the law be faithfully executed. How do you deprive money from someone for not doing something? It doesn't cost anything not to enforce the law.
That's not what the lawsuit is. Right. Coulter, great to see you, and we love having you in the studio.
Yeah, for my full 30 seconds.
We always need to get
you had 4.5 minutes. Okay, let's see. I want to do one more video here from Charles Krauthammer on how president will spark a political crisis. All right, Charles Krauthammer, welcome again to the program. We got a little bit of an ad here, and then we'll move right on ahead to Charles Krauthammer. And he was on, I believe he was, he was on Brent Baer's program, Special Report.
Warning, do not do any cardio before you watch this quick 1-minute video. Because in this video, we're going to show you...
Alright, skip the ad. Here we go. Welcome again, Charles Krauthammer.
Tonight, new developments in a Washington showdown that could explode into a very ugly political crisis. For months, we have heard growing warnings from the right and the left about the president's use of executive power and his habit of going around Congress.
Entirely that the president cannot simply refuse to apply or enforce a law for policy reasons.
The center of gravity is shifting, and that makes it unstable. And within that system, you have the rise of an Uber presidency. There could be no greater danger for individual liberty.
If the people come to believe that the government is no longer constrained by the laws, then they will conclude that neither are they.
As James Madison warned centuries ago in Federalist number 47, the accumulation of all powers, legislative, executive, and judiciary, in the same hands may justly be pronounced the very definition of tyranny.
Well, the House yesterday voted to proceed with the lawsuit designed to challenge the president's aggressive use of his pen and his phone, and it didn't take 24 hours for the White House to send a response, announcing it would issue a new executive order, continuing the kind of bare-knuckled political brawling that a young senator from Illinois once promised to overcome.
There is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America.
Back in 2004.
America and a white America and Latino America and Asian America. There's the United States of America.
Late today, the potential showdown got one step closer to critical mass when Republicans could not round up enough votes to pass a bill aimed at dealing with the recent surge of illegal immigrants at our southern border. The White House wanted over $3 billion. The Senate seemed okay with $2 billion. The House, controlled by the GOP, said no to $659 million. Enter White House advisor Dan Pfeiffer, who tweeted out the following, quote, "By pulling their own bill, the House GOP once again proves why the president must act on his own to solve problems." And the question tonight, what might that presidential solution look like? Will the president, who promised to unite us, drive a huge wedge into America by granting amnesty to millions of illegal immigrants? If he does, who gets the blame? Who pays the price? And what happens to the republic as a result? Dr. Charles Krauthammer, author of the book Things That Matter, which has been on the bestseller list for over 9 months now, joins me with more. Charles, good to see you. That's the question. Will he do it? Is he prepared, as was reported over the weekend, to issue some sort of executive order that would effectively grant amnesty to up to 5 million illegal immigrants?
Well, that's the signal that the White House has been sending almost nonstop for the last couple of days, and I suspect that when September comes, they will do it. And to argue against it, you don't have to go far afield. You've got the president's own words. Openly, publicly, on camera, repeatedly.
Let me just jump in because we have that. We have that soundbite, and not enough people are showing this to the American public. But the president said this in March of 2011 to Univision. Listen.
With respect to the notion that I can just suspend deportations through executive order, that's just not the case. There are enough laws on the books by Congress that are very clear in terms of how we have to enforce our immigration system, that for me to simply through executive order ignore those congressional mandates would not conform with my appropriate role as president.
It could not be any more explicit. Go ahead.
And he said it on many other occasions. On one other occasion, where he said he is simply not allowed to do it under the Constitution, he ended by saying we are a nation of laws. So were he to do now in September what he has long and repeatedly said he is constitutionally prohibited from doing, that would be a grave and irrefutable violation of his duties as president. The Constitution could not be more clear. The president swears an oath to faithfully execute the laws. He's not allowed to make the laws. He's not allowed to change the laws. He isn't allowed to unilaterally suspend the laws, which is exactly what they are saying they are going to do. This will be a gross violation of the Constitution. And it will be, I mean, he's done now a whole series of these. He's done it on drug enforcement. He has done it already with immigration with the so-called DREAM Act, where he unilaterally and lawlessly declared that if you came here as a child, you can stay. That could be a good or a bad policy.
He did that after that soundbite we just played, and the Congress didn't stop him, Charles. So, what is to stop them if he does it again?
Well, as you say, he's done it shamelessly, and the Congress has been relatively supine. Now, one of the things that Congress has done, because it doesn't want to go to impeachment and to cause a constitutional crisis, is to try to bring this lawsuit, which will give the House of Representatives as an institution standing. In other words, the right to show the injury to the powers of the House in a court of law. Now, that will either succeed or not. I think it has a reasonable chance of at least being heard by the Supreme Court. And that would be a way to corral and constrain this unrestrained and illegal power.
What if it doesn't? I mean, if by some miracle that lawsuit plays out very quickly, unusually quickly, and perhaps gets thrown out on the papers for lack of standing by the House of Representatives, then they've tried and failed. And now, according to Andy McCarthy, former prosecutor, he said, look, they've got two other options. They can use the power of the purse to do fines. Or they can
What's going on? I'm getting some noise from Blog Talk, like something's happening. Alright, let's
to a live show.
What? What's going on? Live stream left. We got 19 minutes left here at the Trailer Park Prophet. And it looks like everything's okay. I just got this noise from Blog Talk that told me that we might be disconnected. At any rate, again, that was Charles Krauthammer, and he was talking to a Fox program. I can't think of her name right offhand, but really, you know, we do have a constitutional crisis right now. I mean, the Obama administration, Obama in particular, is acting like a king. And you can't change laws as the President of the United States. You can't ignore laws if you're the President of the United States. And Barack Obama is doing that. He's doing that on Obamacare. He's doing that with the Dreamers. He's doing that in any number of things. In fact, I was reading this article about how there are some 70 violations by the Obama administration where he's used executive privilege, his executive power to go around Congress, and it's illegal. I think it was Ted Cruz identified 70 actions by the Obama administration that are patently illegal. We have separation of power. Like the president was talking to the Imundo, the Spanish network. He was telling them that back in 2011. Look, I just can't do whatever the hell I want to do. But now he's doing whatever the hell he wants to. And now the House of Representatives is trying to get legal standing to stop the president from acting unilaterally on things. He's not a king. And this is a serious thing that's going on here. President Barack Obama is essentially just throwing our Constitution in the trash. Alright, let's see. How am I doing on time here? Doing pretty good. We're moving right along. And this is a depressing story. This is from Nigeria. This is CNSN News. We're getting more reports out of Nigeria that Boko Haram, a radical Islamist group, is systematically slaughtering human beings, slaughtering Christians. Boko Haram, the Islamic extremist group in Nigeria, and other groups have killed over 1,631 Christians in Nigeria in the first 6 months of 2014. A 91% of last year's total of Christians killed by Boko Haram. According to the country, okay, this is all kind of mixed up right there. Okay, last year there was 1,783 Nigerian Christians were killed, according to the Jubilee campaign. The pattern is that if you do not do what the extremists demand, even if you are a Muslim, you become a apostate, deserving of death, says Emmanuel Ogbe, manager of the Jubilee campaign Justice for Jos Project. Therefore, the difference between Boko Haram's approach to Christian infidels and Muslim apostates is that if you are killed as a Christian just because your name is Christian, you go to church, etc., whereas Muslims are generally killed for cause. For example, working for the government or refusing to pay extortion taxes to Boko Haram. I mean, this is horrible. I mean, we have a Christian genocide going on in Nigeria, in Syria, in Libya, and let's see, where else? Jeez. Unbelievable. Oh, and this is from the Daily Beast. And it says that the Russian military is already in East Ukraine, will be a full-scale invasion. And this story is talking about how that the Soviet Union has been amassing troops on the border with the Ukraine. They have tanks and artillery in place, and that some of this shelling has begun. But this is more than just a skirmish. It looks like the Russians are going to escalate their effort in Crimea, and that they're going to start a full invasion. That's what this article in the Daily Beast is talking about. A full military invasion into Crimea by Russia. Not a good thing, my fellow lovers of liberty. Oh, get a load of this. I just had a recent, I made a friend request, and this Diana Saver responded, "Thank you for the friend request. I'm pleased to accept it. I am the CEO and founder of the American Anti-Federalist Patriot Party. Yes, we intend to take this to the nationally chartered political party as the American Anti-Federalist Party. We have to say all patriot Americans should be refusing to pay taxes. Good luck with that. If you are unwilling to stand up and be heard and pay attention to, perhaps you should stop calling yourself a patriot of America, because if you don't or won't stand up to tyranny with an act of civil disobedience, then you are nothing more than a citizen of the United Nations, clearly not a citizen of the United States, a nation founded on the principle by the pledge of the people for the people." Quote, "If 1,000 citizens were not to pay their tax bills next year, that would not be a violent and bloody measure as it would be to pay them and enable the state to commit violence and shed innocent blood. This is, in fact, the definition of a peaceable revolution, if any is possible." And that was quoted by Henry David Thoreau. So they're encouraging people not to pay their taxes. And wow, I mean, that's kind of a risky thing to suggest to people, because if you don't pay your taxes, you're going to be in big trouble. But, you know, if millions and millions and millions and millions of people decide not to pay their taxes, then that would be a big problem for the federal government. That would be insurrection. All right, I got this from the Conservative Infidel, and this is from August 1st. A story here posted by Amy Elizabeth. It says here, so much for the oath of office Maxine Waters swore to protect. She's a congressman. The Quran states, 1, fight those who do not believe. Shura 9.29, fighting people that don't believe. Don't make allies with Jews or Christians. That's in the Quran. There's no place in the Constitution that talks about Allah. This is America. We believe in freedom, liberty, and human rights. If you want to practice Sharia law, go back to where you came from. This is a direct conflict of our First Amendment rights in the U.S. Constitution. Sharia law and the U.S. law conflict in numerous ways, including on issues of freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, and freedom of equality for women. Allowing Sharia law to be a determining factor.
Oh, of course. Which one of these 4G LTE networks would...
Okay, let's see here. I thought maybe we had a
virtual date with Josh Duhamel.
Contract Verizon.
Alright, let me kill that story, but I want to hear this I think we actually have a video of Maxine Waters saying that Sharia law is somehow superior to our Constitution. I mean, that's what the headline suggests. Let's go back to this little ad here, see if finally if we can maybe...
Your hands are so strong.
Like I said, I've been working out. I hope you don't mind
Alright, at any rate, come on.
For best results, use Verizon.
Alright, here we go. Maxine Waters on being interviewed, I believe, by... I can't remember. Well, maybe this isn't going to happen. Huh.
Firefighters in northeastern California.
Alright, never mind. I thought we had a video of Maxine Waters, when in fact, I guess we really don't. Or at least I couldn't get it to come up. Okay, I saw this story. This is kind of an interesting story. Now, I've been reading stuff like this, and I'm wondering whether or not this country can ever turn itself around, because stories like this are the kind of stuff that really makes you wonder if we are already over the cliff, that we are going to be in the throes of tyranny in this country forever. And this story is talking about how the EPA is and has been inadvertently or deliberately funding activist groups. And this story comes from the Washington Examiner. And I don't have, I know this is going on, and I know the federal government is donating money to 501c nonprofits, and a lot of these 501cs are merely activist groups. And there's a Senate report details how the EPA officials divert millions of tax dollars to activist group. Article written here by Mark Tapscott. He posted this on the 1st of August, and he begs the question, are tax dollars being channeled through the Environmental Protection Agency to Democrat activists working in the nonprofit sector? A comprehensive new report released Wednesday by the Republican staff of the Senate Environmental and Public Works Committee makes clear that the answer to that question is yes. The report is entitled "The Chain of Environmental Command." Major mainstream media, which generally parrot the perspectives and analysis of the environmental movement, have utterly ignored the report. And let's see here. Let's see. Former far-left environmentalists working at the EPA funnel government money through grants to former employees and colleagues, often contributing to the bottom line of the environmental activist groups. Upon President Obama's EPA has given more than $27 million in taxpayer-funded grants to major environmental groups, notably the Natural Resources Defense Council and the Environmental Defense Fund, two key activist groups with significant ties to senior EPA officials have collected more than $1 million in funding each. And it just goes on and on and on, gives you a little more information about other groups that have been receiving money. I mean, what the hell? I mean, government employees now get bonuses. Government is now giving money to political groups, 501cs. It's kind of disgusting. Alright, let's see, where are we? Alright, we only have 5 mementos left. Let's see. I don't know. We have time to do that story. And this story here, I've been trying to figure out all day if this is really the case. I got this from DC Gazette, and it says 72 killed resisting gun confiscation in Boston. The National Guard unit seeking to confiscate a cache of recently banned assault weapons were ambushed by elements of this paramilitary group, and they're saying that there was an exchange of fire when the National Guard was trying to collect these assault weapons. And in case you don't know, that's what's been going on in Massachusetts. The Massachusetts government has been trying to confiscate people's guns if they're of the type that are considered assault weapons. And according to this story, I don't know if this is bogus, you would think this would be all over the media, that 72 people were killed resisting gun confiscation in Boston. We report, you decide. I mean, it could be bogus. Oh, and this here, my friend Matt Hitchborn weighed in. He says, I read the story, and Andrew's right. The story's false. The story is dated a couple days ago, and the governor's name is wrong, as well as the fact assault rifles were banned in Massachusetts in 1994. So this is a bogus story. All right. I mean, I wanted to do this story because I thought, well, by the time we went live on the Trailer Park Prophet Show, that some of my friends would have weighed in and told us whether or not this story is bogus. So, now we know. Story bogus. Oh! And this is really... Okay, we got 2 more stories to do. I want to hurry up and get on this one. Now, this story is from Breitbart. And let's see here. The headline is Rick Perry, that's the governor of Texas, in case you don't know. And let's see here. I'm getting a bunch of pop-ups. Gotta kill them pop-ups. You bad pop-up. Alright, it says here that a record number of illegal aliens are coming from Syria, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and they're being caught at our border. And what's happening to them? Governor Rick Perry said a record number of illegal immigrants from Syria, Pakistan, Afghanistan have been apprehended at the U.S.-Mexican border on Sunday. State of the Union on CNN. Perry said historic record highs of individuals from countries that have substantial terrorist ties threaten America's national security. Later on the program, Mike McCall, Republican from Texas and House Homeland Security Committee chair, said Iranian terrorists have had plans to sneak across the border. He also said that others who want to do harm are seeking to exploit America's porous borders. And here we'll actually listen to President, he wants to be president, Governor Rick Perry from Texas. And he was talking about this yesterday on the Sunday talk programs. All right. Hey, welcome back, Governor Perry. We're glad you're back to the Trailer Park Prophet Show. Why don't you fill us in on who are actually coming across our border? Well, I'm trying to get this to work. May not work. Okay, well, sorry, Mr. Perry. We're going to have to kill this story. At any rate,
90 seconds.
Anyways, I think you kind of know what's going on. And I got another story. I'm going to read the headline. I'm going to try to look into this, see if this is actually true. It says, Vatican representative in Israel declares that Jews no longer the chosen people. And I wanted to check out and see if maybe that was the case, and because that's really kind of a damning story if the Catholic Church is saying that the Jews are no longer the chosen people. I mean, that's really scary. All right, now we gotta get out of here. Listen, everybody, thanks a lot for being here. Drizzle drazzle, drizzle drone. Time for this prophet to go home. I gotta shut up the program, and we'll see ya on Wednesday for Hump Day with the Prophet. Hope everybody has any kind of day they want, and we'll see you on Wednesday. All right, keep it classy.
Ten seconds.
See you guys on YouTube. Bye-bye.